Hello, and welcome back to Sharing a Chapter a Day. This is Do, Ra, Mi, and today I will be reading Chapter 9 of Engagement in Peril by Dara, Odoe, Sup. Chapter 9 is titled Food Preparation and Rationings. When it was time to cook or make meals, everyone cooked on an open fire outside the hut, either in front or behind the hut, or on the side, which was made from piles of wood surrounded by small boulders outside the ground. You were very lucky or rich if you had pots or pan then. No one cooks in the house, for it might burn down the straw shack. We cooked everything from rice, stew, soup, and porridges. And we also roasted meat out there atop the open fire, if we were lucky or fortunate enough to have meat, or any meat at all. We cooked in good, fair, rainy, and in all sorts of weather. We had to eat, and there was no such thing as a refrigerator or a freezer to keep the food fresh. Once the animal is killed, it had to be prepared and eaten soon after. The cooked rice that we made would last for about 3 or 4 days or so. Usually we would eat rice with the salt we were issued. The salt gives the rice flavor. Everyone puts in their share in the food preparation. I had to gather twigs and branches, while my sister helped mother with the meat and dishes preparation. As for my little brother Chanburi, well, he was too small to help then. So he sits beside his mother, like always, like a baby chimp clinging onto his mother's side and back, like I used to do. Every family in the gated compound and commune has similar routines like ours. Everybody works. Everyone helps in one way or another. And the unity between captives in the camps was unselfishly strong. Neighboring refugees would share in everything. A neighbor helps his or her neighbor from food preparation to child rearing. We had the good and the bad, of course, the greedy neighbors, but who doesn't in this vast world of ours? Anyhow, everyone who helps always gets a share of something, whether it is food or something else. We were a community of prisoners, a community who shared in all aspects of daily living, from food preparation to children rearing. I remember a time when I was very young, when my mother wasn't around to nurse me. A neighbor who was several years younger than my mother, and who wanted an infant of her own. Well, she would take care of me while my mother wasn't around, and help and nurse me with her young, delicate bosoms. I can barely remember anything then, but I'm sure I can imagine now, and how her young, delicate bosoms must have tasted in my yearning mouth then. Although she wasn't lactating, she allowed me to suck upon her chesty means. I'm sure it was firm and sweet, and I probably suckled it as much as I could, every time she allowed me to cling onto her bosom. Sometime later in my young adult life, where I recently reside, I met and was introduced to this lady who used to breastfeed me when I was very young. She now has children of her own, and every time she sees me, she reminds me and teases me of what she did for me. And with a warm, sincere, blushing smile and gratitude, I always appreciatively thank her for allowing me to suck upon her bosoms then. Now meat was really scarce in the concentration camp, a commodity only reserved for the well-off and our captor. The only time we had meat was when our captor allowed us to go outside and camp to hunt and gather those meat. And hunting the men did, with handmade tools, with slingshots to sticks and stone. They managed to kill their prey. Some of the meat that were brought back were rabbits, snakes, birds, and various wild rodents, like field rats, mongoose, and other creatures that flew, crawled, slithered, and swam upon the earth. Children who were fortunate enough to have meat in their meals did not ask what type of meat it was, or had the choice of being picky. Meat was meat, and that's all that mattered then. Marinate some salt, chili, pepper on the meat, anything would taste like chicken, or beef, or whatever. We always used salt to preserve the meat we had, which would last us a day or two before it rots. While the young and grown men are outside the camp hunting about, The pre-adolescent boys and girls are inside the camp, wandering about, catching frogs, eels, lizards, turtles, and fishes along the moat and ditches that surround the refugee encampment. Now, when the New Year rolls around, could it be Cambodian New Year, Laotian New Year, or whoever New Year, it was almost at the same time, or during the same time, usually during the month of April. Everybody would celebrate, no matter where you were in the camp, no matter what nationality you were. Even the non-Khmer refugees celebrate with us. Our watch allows us to worship and celebrate in our native ritual. The celebration usually lasts about several days. Most of us will go to the temple to worship. Yes, they allow us to go to temple. The adults will pray for days and on end, hardly ever getting up until the monks stop their chant. The parents would pray to their ancestors and ask them to watch over them and to guide them and to watch over their children and to help them. Children would busy themselves outside playing all sorts of games, ranging from singing, chanting, dancing, to watching live performance on stage. Opera-like performances. These performances were about various religion gods fighting one another to save the people. For example, monkey god versus dragon god, and there was also comedy and opera performances and so forth. And everyone shared whatever we had. We would sleep on the ground, atop a plastic mat and carpet. It was just like camping out, but without the tent and the blankets, or sleeping bags to keep us warm and cozy. It was just sleeping on the hard ground. During these festive and worship activities, we had a wonderful time and enjoyed ourselves. It was one of the bright and good things in our living during those trying times. When the festivity ends, we all went back to the same old routine. Prisoners amongst the land once again, living only for the moment and enjoying every last bit of what we had. And what we had, which was more precious than anything, was we had each other. We had each other, the joy of enjoying your family and friend, and the warmth of one's love, comradeship, and kinship. Those were our blessing then. Family. Thank you for listening. This is the end of Chapter 9. Be on the lookout for Chapter 10, titled Relocated and Liberated. Until next time, this is Do, Ra, Mi. Thank you.